Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for taking the time to view our presentation. My name is Stephanie Chavez, the mentor, and Melissa Bueno is my mentee. And in this presentation, we will be focusing on the implications and damages caused by the lack of school counselors in high school, primarily focusing on 4 topics: non-guidance activities, supervision, student-to-counselor ratio, and school counselor burnout. We are part of General Intelligence's 8-week internship. General Intelligences is a nonprofit organization committed to providing high school and undergraduate students from disadvantaged communities and school districts with resources for success. General Intelligences is one of the first peer-to-peer initiatives to help students gain crucial life skills and the social capital necessary for success, which is taught as a hidden curriculum at well-funded schools. With that being said, we'll go ahead and start this presentation off with a video that expresses the importance of our research project.
Gap that's been widening at the nation's top colleges.
For me, the problem is that we live in the land of equal opportunity, but opportunities in education are not equal for all young men and women who are studying in America today. Absolutely.
Shirley Tillman is the former president of Princeton and a board member at LEDA. She cites recent reports such as one from Georgetown University. Just 14% of students at the most competitive colleges come from families in the lower half of the income bracket, and a mere 5% come from the bottom quarter.
Where you were born, into what family you were born, what their resources are to a large extent going to determine the quality of the education you receive, beginning in preschool and moving all the way up through college. And what this is going to create in America is a different kind of aristocracy that's going to be self-perpetuating unless we find ways to break that juggernaut.
An aristocracy.
All right, thank you for watching that video with us. We are team number 10, and our purpose for this project is to gain insight on personal experiences from graduated and graduating high school students that'll have both mentor and mentee create a research project that will raise awareness on the lack of academic and emotional guidance in high school. We aim to bring recognition to students from first generation and low-income communities, or who identify as members of these communities often struggle with a transition to college and additional challenges upon matriculation. Here are the topics to discuss. Let's get started. Non-guidance activities are divided into 4 categories. They are these categories right here. School counselors, like all mental health professionals, are at higher risk for burnout. High caseloads, job role ambiguity, and lack of supervision increase their propensity for burnout. If this is the case of what we lack as a nation, how are we able to provide excellent academic guidance for our next generation of educated and skilled professionals? Our main focus is this: help counselors help students. Let's talk about non-guidance activities. It's basically this: typically fitting into 4 categories, which includes student supervision, instruction, clerical, and administrative. Let's talk about non-guidance activities, and let's give you a scenario. You've just started a new job, but you're finding the school counseling program is expected to be an extension of administration. You're trying to establish a comprehensive school counseling program, but everyone else is defining your role, assigning you to administrative tasks, and not allowing you to deliver school counseling core curriculum classroom lessons. And this then moves on to the fact that non-guidance activities, as typically fitting into 4 categories, like we have mentioned in the previous slide: student supervision, instructor, clerical, and administrative, which leads to assigned to school counselors, including lunch duty, substituting for absent teachers, bus duty, administering achievement tests, discipline, and registering students. Many school counselors are assigned non-guidance tasks and clerical duties unrelated to their professional training. So why is this exactly relevant, right? Well, this adds pressure to complete assigned non-guidance tasks due to the lack of security in many school counseling positions. 1, performing tasks hinders counselors from developing and implementing a quality, comprehensive guidance, and this impacts their overall self-efficiency. 2, non-guidance activities causes great concern over too many assigned administrative tasks, making it so difficult to work with children one-on-one in any setting, and taking away a counselor's ability to counsel with students properly. It also involves related tasks affecting a counselor's job satisfaction because they are expected to perform duties outside of their training and professional role. So let's dig in deeper. How do you think a counselor feels during a burnout, and how does this affect students?
My area of expertise is counselor burnout. Counselors oftentimes feel like they're too emotionally exhausted to be able to stay engaged and to remain vital in their jobs, and they don't have the supports necessary to meet the needs of all students. One of the biggest things school counselors can do is to align their role with professional best practices and the ASCA national model. School counselors are really good about advocating for students, but sometimes they need a little bit more encouragement in advocating for their roles. Advocate for having time with the students instead of spending that time in administrative duties or other things that, while they might be important for the school, are not important for the role of the school counselor. What are
All right, thank you so much for looking at that video. We'll go ahead and move on. And Melissa will go ahead and share the rest of the presentation.
So there should be breaks and workshops made to help cope with all these responsibilities that counselors have to go through. For example, tip: more counselors are needed in the field in order to decrease the high ratios and in turn workload. Next slide. What are the predictive qualities of high student to counselor ratios, the amount of supervision received, and the amount of time spent on non-counseling duties when looking at burnout among school counselors? Based on this question, how can we take everything into consideration so we can implement a better educational guidance structure for students? Next. Take note of the fact that if students need supervision for success, counselors do too. Imagine this: put yourself in their shoes. Counselors are working without the support of ongoing supervision and are more susceptible to the stress of daily activities and large caseloads. And also, recall your own counselor and how large their caseload was. Next is supervision. Supervision is when school counselors is an essential component of a professional development, principally due to the frequent role ambiguity, large caseloads, and varied administrator expectations. Now you might be wondering, what exactly is supervision? Supervision can be defined as a constant checkup provided by a senior member of a profession, in this case counseling, to a junior member or members of that same profession. Their motive in doing that would be to enhance the professional abilities of the junior member, monitor the counseling services offered, and act as a gatekeeper for those who are entering the counseling profession. By providing a supervision component to the counselor's career field, there can be a smaller rate for burnout. Supervision provides both new and seasoned professionals with support and mentorship. With support and mentorship, there will be a growth, there will be more development, and alleviate the lack of supervision provided in the identity problems and ineffective services delivery. With supervision, there will also be improvement on effectiveness, accountability, confidence, comfort, and performance. And all that being said, as you can see on the checklist, that will just make it so that there will be improved resources for students. Next is the student to counselor ratio, which we have to delve deep into to better understand the issue. According to the American School Counselor Association, across the US, there is an average of one school counselor for every 455 public kindergarten through 12 students. As you can see, this leads to the unequal attention given to each student, and it also makes it hard for students to reach out, especially the more reserved ones. And just to make the ratios, and just to look at them in a different light, The number of counselors hired in a school counseling program makes a difference in the quantity and quality of services offered for students. High ratios leads to decline in counselor performance, which leads to large caseloads, which in effect leads to the inability to address students' needs. And essentially, there will be a rise in mental health decline due to the counselors neglecting own professional development. 4. The school counselor burnout. This is when one has a deliberating psychological condition caused by unrelieved work stress. Symptoms may include low energy, lowered resistance to illness, increased depersonalization in interpersonal relationships, increased dissatisfaction and pessimism in life, increased absenteeism, and work inefficiency. As you can see, all these symptoms are no good. And also, you should note that burnout affects approximately 39% of all mental health counselors. More so, their typical demands include heavy caseloads with constant role ambiguity because of the lack of supervision. As we have mentioned before, there should be more supervision in order to help this burnout. And even more, the American School Counselor Association describes school counselors as responsible for students' academic career and personal social development. This alone is a significantly big task for one individual. Let alone they have more tasks such as lunch duty, substituting for absent teachers, bus duty, administrating achievement tests. The responsibility can become more overwhelming, especially when considering some counselors may be responsible for as many as 800 students. In essence, school counselors often feel pulled in many directions, and in turn, they are at high risk of stress, exhaustion, and just overall burnout in their daily work and life. With that being said, as mentioned, the three components that can lead to this burnout is non-guidance activities, supervision, and the student to counselor ratio.
All
And
right.
now we pass it on to my mentor.
Thank you so much, Melissa. So, you've heard what she said. School counselors who bring education and mental health together may be particularly vulnerable because of their job demands. Everyone should be helped when burned out. So, here's a tip: don't forget to appreciate your counselor, but also don't be shy when it comes to being firm about addressing your educational needs. And let's go ahead and move on to Melissa. She's going to go ahead and tell you a little bit more about our main focus for this research project, and she'll be sharing why this project is important to her. So here's her story.
Hello, my name is Melissa Bueno, and here's my story. As I was a high schooler, there were two different campuses at my high school, and inevitably, I would see the high school student to counselor ratio. And as you can see, there was about 288 students per school counselor and 4,600 students per one college counselor. And seeing all these in seeing these different ratios and very large ratios, I noticed that this was an issue. And so, with that being said, even more so, I had personal experiences, such as when my school had a system where we would schedule meetings with our school counselor throughout the school year, but like I'd find myself waiting in line during the time slot that I selected because of the large caseloads that each counselor had. And it wasn't just me, it was a lot of other students that would lack the attention from these counselors because of these large caseloads. And even more so, as we had spoke, they had many other responsibilities going on. And that being said, I really want to focus on this issue that goes on not only in my community but in many others. Like I said, this is just one story of hundreds that exist because of a lack of counselors in educational areas. And in addition, this situation helps no one because according to two Downs et al. Found that counselors at schools with higher ratios were overwhelmed with providing services to students and constantly neglecting their professional development. In essence, this issue is really important and should be told to everyone in order to fix it.
Thank you so much, Melissa, for sharing your story. We're going to go ahead and move on. All right, we wanted to hear from our peers. Therefore, we created a Google survey with relevant questions that would help us really pinpoint how we could bring awareness to both counselors and students. So we asked the general public about their educational experiences with their counselors. 29 responses. Here are our questions and results. As you can see, a lot of our audience identifies as female. With this slide, it's clear that our audience are between the ages of 18 to 25 years old. And the year of graduation from our survey focused on graduates of the 2020 school year. With this slide, we found out that a good percentage of our surveyors did indeed schedule an appointment with their high school counselors. And we had a good percentage for each of those questions. Now, Melissa will go ahead and share more information to you about our stats.
As you can see, we also asked what ethnicity their counselor was, and clearly there was a large component of Caucasian counselors. And then the next question we asked was, would you be more comfortable if your school counselor was the same ethnicity as race as you? And for the most part, there was a response of it doesn't matter, but the next one was yes, it did matter. The next question was, how many times did you seek for counseling guidance? And a lot of people mentioned that they seeked it 2 times or more. Next was, do you think your counseling visit made an impact in your current education career choice? And a lot of people said it was tied between yes and not applicable. And then the next question was, did you figure out your choice in career all on your own? And the majority was yes. And the next question was, did you figure out your career choice outside of high school? And for the majority, as one can see, it was yes. Now, this is quotes that students have experienced. So one says, I only ever had one meeting with my high school counselor senior year after signing up for AP Calculus and Physics when I was told by them that I shouldn't take them because they were hard. It seems like every high school counselor has pushed for students to take easier classes so they can easily pass through rather than have them help them succeed in tougher classes. My counselor also had no help or impact in my education and career choices. If I had to listen to them and not take those difficult classes, then I would not have known I wanted to go into the field I am in today and possibly still searching. I truly feel like many school counselors don't really do anything. The next quote was, more understanding with choices I wanted to make pertaining my future. If they had reached out more, not just in my senior year of high school, but other years prior, I think it would have helped. And the last quote is, I wish that this counselor would have discussed more career options besides just college. And in essence, there is a burnout issue that needs to be addressed. In many professional work settings, it can be detrimental to overall activity and quality of work. The school counseling profession is no different, especially susceptible to burnout due to excessive workload, job roles, and lack of professional supervision. With these factors, it is crucial that we find a way to provide as much support and guidance for our counselors. By doing so, our students will feel more comfortable and guidance for our counselors. There will be goals because of the resources they have gained with exceptional and educational plan for counselors. Avoiding all work-related stress is an unattainable goal. However, the solution to burnout is achievable. Doing so includes aligning the goals of counseling programs with those of large school community, collecting and reporting data, such as what we did today, and making sure school administrators and other stakeholders are aware of all vital contributions counselors make to the school community so that the counselors feel much more appreciated and aware of their workload.
All right, thank you so much for that, Melissa. And thank you everybody who viewed this presentation. Thank you for your time. We hope this presentation has greatly informed you about the importance of the implications, damages caused by the lack of high school counselors. And that concludes our presentation. Again, this is Stephanie Chavez, the mentor, and Melissa Bueno, the mentee, and we thank you for your time.